Dunn obviously couldn't really get going, I guess, till the 37th minute there. How do you see it?
Oh, I mean, in some ways, I'm proud of the boys. You know, in some senses, we took. You know, it's taken us 4 flights, including international flight from Japan, on a 6-day turnaround to come here. So the fact that we finished on, you know, I thought the stronger team, and we're still playing with a lot of tempo towards the back end of the game. I think, you know, that's given us a lot of confidence. And you know, we're obviously disappointed to lose. We just had a really poor start, and I think it was hard to fight our way back from that, but we never stopped trying. We took a bonus point away from them at the back end of the game, which I think at the end of the season is going to matter, you know. So little things like that, you know, we'll take heart from those sort of things.
What was the message at half time? You were in a similar spot last year, came back and won. What did you tell the boys?
Yeah, I think you know, that was probably the same idea. We've been here a couple of times, been down and fought our way back. And I thought, you know, we were in the process of doing that. Unfortunately, we lost Matt Tamura and Reece Hodge to concussion at half time. But I think also the thing was we tried to speed up the tempo of the game. You know, we were frustrated with the way that the Brumbies were controlling and slowing the tempo of the game. Every time the ball went out of play, they were walking. The restart, they took ages behind their try line. They'd make the sub, they'd wait for us to make a sub, then they'd make the sub. They're slowing the game down to play a certain type of game. You know, it's a grinding, set-piece driven game, and we knew that at the start of the game. So we were just hell of a frustrated that we couldn't control the tempo of the game.
What did you put the slow start down to?
Sorry, Chrissy?
What did you put the slow start down to, other than not being able to win set-piece ball?
Yeah, I think one of the things is we gave too many penalties at the start of the game. You know, like they were scoring tries, they were getting field position of us doing some silly stuff. Restart, the high tackle, couple at the scrum. And so that, you know, that's how the Brumbies play, and we sort of knew that. So once we started to get that out of our game, we started to find some rhythm. You know, I thought we started to play well. This was always going to be a tough start to us to the season. You know, like we know we had an away trip, not in Tokyo but in Fukuoka, which is another connecting flight away from Tokyo, and we get to go home now with what I think is a little bit of rhythm and a little bit of confidence from the back end of the game.
How tough was it to get on top of the Brumbies scrum earlier?
Yeah, look, I mean, you know, I thought probably on the tight head side we probably were getting a bit overextended. I thought their loose head was probably coming in a little bit, but it's hard to ask the referee to reward you when you're getting a bit overextended on that side. So, yeah.
Certainly from where we're sitting, it's pretty tough to tell those scrum penalties. Do you feel there's consistency there, or, you know, from the coach's box, do you understand every scrum penalty, basically?
I don't leave the scrums to Jeff and Nick Henderson. They just tell me what's going on there. But I mean, that's you know, that's what the Brumbies do, and I think if you allow them to play that sort of game, they're very good at it. You know, and again, I think probably the thing that we're conscious of is the tempo of the game, trying to keep the ball in play. I don't know what the ball in play time of the game was, but until probably the back end of the second half, where there were some long activity cycles, I reckon the ball in play would be a record all-time low almost. You know, like it was stop-start. If you play like that, that's what the Brumbies like, you know, and that's not disrespectful in any way. They're very good at it. So, you know, and you're good at something, that's what you want to do. So, we have to find a way to manage that better and try to keep the tempo of the game high. And it was high, and it was long activity cycles towards the back end of the game. That's when we were playing on top of them.
Dane, what was 24 minutes down? What was being said out in the middle?
The big thing for us is we hadn't played yet. We know we're dangerous with the ball in hand, and they'd scored every time they'd come down, and we hadn't even touched the ball yet. So the big thing was just stay calm. We'll get some opportunities, and we eventually did. But you can't give a team like the Brumbies a lead like that and expect to run it down every time.
Yeah, and even before that, just after the frustration of the work, how did you get the guys back on track? Was it just simply staying focused in the moment?
I think both games, the thing I've been proud of is our fight, but you can't be doing that in a competition that's this good. But there's definitely a lot of belief and a lot of heart in the group, but we just got to figure out how to start our games better.
How about the head knocks?
I think Matt Tamura actually said he passed his HIA, but then was ruled out through some television process. Well, I'm not too sure about that. So he's obviously not too bad. He passed it. And Hodgie, I think Hodgie probably a bit more significant. And he was ruled out at half time as well.
And talk us through that 45-metre solo effort.
I think it was us just trying to play with some tempo, and we felt like we were getting some pay, grinding them down. Yeah, I think we definitely know the way that we want to play. It was just a little bit frustrating that we weren't able to control the tempo for longer parts of that game.
I suppose just before that, I guess breaking off the rolling ball, got called back for obstruction. Is that just too eager, too keen?
Yeah, we had one of those last week as well in Fukuoka. Falau Fainga had one last week, and it wasn't awarded. It was awarded. So my sense is if it's part of the same maul, and I think that's what the referee has to make that assessment. But that's not the reason that we didn't win the game. I mean, I think we, as I say, probably the thing that we're harping on about is just we're a team that wants to play with tempo. We feel like we can. If we can control that a little bit better, then we'll get better outcomes.
And gents, both of you, how big is next week, just for your season?
I mean, every week's big, I think, Christy. I mean, that's obviously next week's our first home game. I think it's a repeat of the Rebels' first ever game, so that's pretty special for us on our 10-year anniversary. And I think we feel pretty confident about probably the progress we've made. I feel like in some ways I should take responsibility for last week. We probably only played our main players, or we did only play our starting players for probably 40 minutes in the trial game, and perhaps we were a little bit undercooked going into last week. Certainly today is much closer to the type of rugby that we know we're capable of, and so I feel pretty good about the season going forward. But we've got some work to do. I think most teams do at this stage of the season.
Roy, what can you guys do to kind of stop giving up early tries? Series having 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, I mean, I think each try is, we have to look at the details of each one. I think they try to kick on us early. They thought they would find some kick space that wasn't necessarily there, and had some moments go their way. We didn't have the ball literally. I think for the first 10 minutes, I think we had a restart, which we then had a high tackle from. I think that was the only time we had possession in the first 10 minutes. So we need to figure out ways and not give up to have the ball, and then not give up the ball as cheaply as we did, or allow them to piggyback themselves downfield through ill discipline.
Christy touched on the concussions. Are there any injuries?
Touch wood, not at this stage. No.
And last one. Touched on the ranking. And just, I guess, on the forward pack, we're starting a bit better set piece, but kind of spoke about it earlier.
Yeah, look, I mean, also again in the last 2 games, we've had 10 players make their debuts for the team, so those combinations will take a little bit of time to find. Today was Gideon Kuchlenberg at lock, and Ryan Lawrence I thought was excellent at 9 when he came on. It's great to have Campbell Magnay back in the mix. Over the next couple of weeks, Jordan Alisi's coming back, Brad Wilkins coming back. So again, probably in the past we've got super excited about a great start to the season and fallen away. I feel in some ways that we certainly played better today than we did last week, and we need to keep building. And I think we need to take the step up at our first home game next week.